So today we're globe hopping a little bit. We did Tokyo Banana, we did Tim Tams, an Australian favorite. We did, well, we sort of did Kinder Bueno. Don't worry, we're gonna come back with that one.
Anyone have like a soldering iron?
We're still working on the mold. But today we're going to Mexico, and today I am recreating Gansito, which I had never heard of. But I'm excited to try. I understand that these are a beloved treat in Mexico. It's a little snack cake, and what's interesting and sets it apart from, I feel like, a lot of American snack cakes is there's like a little jam in it. We actually found these locally at a Mexican grocer. Gansitos, which means little goose. I've never seen these in person, and then the boxes are unopened, so I have no idea like what size they are. Actually, now thinking about it, if this is an 8-pack, they're kind of big, right? Oh, actually it's kind of a nice size. Cute. It is very Twinkie-like in proportion. There's like a slight tackiness to it. It's that kind of coating that like crackles, and of course the chocolate sprinkles on the top. I'm gonna bust it open. Ooh, ooh. The look is very pleasing. The cake looks like super light, and it's a really modest amount of filling. Ooh. Wow. It's not making me really want to eat it. I really just don't like the fruit and chocolate together. Ooh, the jelly is tough. It's rough. There is something very, very, very artificial tasting in the cream and the jam. The cake and the chocolate I'm into. I really think it would be so much better without the jelly. But I think a homemade version of this would be really good. I'm gonna do some measurements. So it's about 9.5 centimeters long. Height is about 3 centimeters. The width is about 3.5 centimeters. The chocolate coating is very delicate. The cake itself is not like a perfect rectangle in terms of the cross section. There is like a divot on the top that makes room for the 2 layers of filling. The first layer of filling is the strawberry jam. Really it's jelly because there's no fruit pieces in it. And then there's a layer on top of that, that's the cream filling. Each is about 1/2 centimeter thick. And then there is the chocolate coating. The cake itself is about 3 centimeters wide, 2.5 tall. The jam does not extend all the way to the edges of the cake. There is about 1/2 centimeter bumper at the end of the cake of just cake. The illustration, obviously we've seen a lot that like the illustration does not actually match the reality of the thing. The jam is not oozing out. It's very firm. And even when I touch it, like it doesn't even get on my finger. Same with the cream filling. So it's like, I think I know what everything is. I'm thinking that the coating is a kind of poured fondant, basically. It's not just like straight chocolate. Not that any of the snack foods have straight chocolate coating, but rather than having that like hard crack of just 100% chocolate, it has a kind of suppleness to it. So now I'm going to read the ingredients. Coating, bracket, sugar, hydrogenated vegetable shortening, parentheses, palm kernel, palm and or canola oils, close parentheses, cocoa, milk fat, soy lecithin, cinnamon, vanillin, artificial flavor, close bracket. Filling, bracket, sugar, strawberry puree, kind of impressed, pineapple puree, apple juice concentrated, glucose, cornstarch, guar gum, locust bean gum, xanthan gum, citric acid, hydrogenated vegetable shortening, parentheses, coconut oil, sodium benzoate, parentheses, preservative, carmine, parentheses, color, natural flavor, close bracket. Sugar, sprinkles, bracket, sugar, cocoa, hydrogenated vegetable shortening, parentheses, palm kernel oil, invert sugar, salt, soy lecithin, cinnamon, shellac, that's a new one, glycerin, vegetable oil, parentheses, palm oil, preservatives, parentheses, sodium benzoate, potassium sorbate, close parentheses, close bracket, water, bleached wheat flour, eggs, hydrogenated vegetable shortening, parentheses, palm and or fractionated palm and canola oils, close parentheses, corn syrup, vegetable shortening, parentheses, canola oil, palm and fractionated palm oil, close parentheses, non-fat milk, glycerin, dextrose, food starch modified, parentheses, corn, preservatives, parentheses, potassium sorbate, sodium propionate, sorbic acid, close parentheses, salt, gelatin, leavening, parentheses, baking soda, aluminum, sodium sulfate, propylene, glycol esters of fatty acids, natural and artificial flavor, mono and diglycerides, sodium stearoyl lactylate, enrichment, parentheses thiamine mononitrate, riboflavin, niacin, folic acid, reduced iron, zinc oxide, close parentheses. This is a very long ingredient list. We bought these here in New York, in person, not ordered from the internet. Everything, all the branding, all the writing, everything on the packaging is in English. And it says distributed by Bimbo Bakeries USA. But it's this product in Mexico, so it's like, it might be that these are manufactured in the US, I don't know. And so it's actually a different process and different ingredient list compared to the ones that are like made in Mexico and consumed in Mexico. I don't know. We did find that with Tim Tams, right? That possibly the version that is available in the US is not the same as the Australian version. So I don't know if this is the same, but this is what's in this particular box. That's quite a list. What I'm learning is that invert sugar, it's really interesting that there's pineapple puree, apple juice concentrate. Like there is stuff in here that's like actual food, theoretically. So the coating is basically cocoa, fat, cinnamon. That's really interesting. I'm gonna add, I love the idea of like adding a little cinnamon to it. It doesn't give me a ton of clues about the cream filling, but there is corn syrup and gelatin. So that to me is saying that it is like a marshmallow. Here's my game plan. 1 is make sprinkles. 2, I'm gonna bake the sponge. 3 is gonna be strawberry jelly. It's strawberry season, so it's kind of works out. And 4 is going to be cream filling. And then 5 is going to be the chocolate fondant and assembly. Gansitos sprinkle, take 1. I have some egg whites already in the fridge from making ice cream. I'm just gonna grab some cocoa and some powdered sugar and my piping bag. And then I just need a sheet tray with some parchment. I'm not really gonna measure this. I'm going to just kind of do it by sight and feel. Basically what you want is like as much sugar as possible bound together with egg white. And you need like a very, very thick, stiff mixture. So I'm gonna start with a little egg white. And we're not going for something really that has any kind of like flavor on its own. It's gonna taste like cocoa just because I'm adding cocoa to it. I really need a very small amount of egg white. All right, so I'm gonna start by whisking this. I'm gonna add just a little pinch of salt, mostly because it helps to break up and loosen the egg whites a little bit. Now I'm going to add some powdered sugar. With powdered sugar, it always looks like more than it really is, but it will thin out. And I'm gonna add a little bit of cocoa. Same thing with cocoa, a little bit goes a long way. And once cocoa powder hits anything liquid, it darkens quite a bit. I'm just gonna keep adding powdered sugar and cocoa until I have the color and consistency that I want, which is something very, very stiff and pipeable. Something that will hold its shape when I pipe it. You know, I think I have a little bit of black cocoa. I could use some of that. Let's see what color we get. And if I need to darken it, I can add a little black cocoa. So black cocoa is like a cocoa powder that's been like ultra alkalized, and it makes it very, very dark. It's what like Oreos are made from. I'm gonna grab some because I want the color. And this is already a Dutch processed cocoa, which means that it already is alkalized. I do like that there's a little bit of a color contrast between the sprinkle and the coating. The coating is a little bit more like chocolatey brown, and the sprinkles are darker. That color looks good, but I need the mixture to be a little bit stiffer. So more powdered sugar. So I think I'm close. You can see that it's getting so thick that it's difficult to whisk. What I really need is something that is going to hold its shape when I pipe it in super, super fine, thin rows. I don't want it to be so firm that I can't pipe it. I overshot it a little bit. I'm gonna add a drop or two of water, truly like a drop. So we have this very, very thick, still sort of like pourable, or like it still kind of has an oozing texture, but it's really, really stiff. So now I'm gonna get it into my piping bag, which I'm gonna fit with my round pastry tip. This is nice, it's pipeable. I don't have to apply too much pressure. I'm gonna hold it a little bit above the parchment. I'm gonna basically make this line in long rows, and I'm just letting it fall onto the baking sheet. And I can even lead the line a little bit. So I'm gonna repeat this, make maybe between a half a dozen and a dozen lines, and then we're just gonna set them aside and let them dry while I go on to the other components. I wanna change the order a little bit. I'm thinking about the strawberry jelly, and I think it's gonna take a while. So I think I wanna do strawberry jelly first because sponge actually is pretty quick. Strawberries don't have a lot of natural pectin. Pectin is in certain fruits that cause jelly and jam to gel, and strawberries don't have a lot of it. So we also have some apple trees outside that have some unripe apples on them, and those have a ton of pectin. So I'm gonna use a technique that I used to make the jelly when I did Uncrustables, the grape jelly, which is to make a kind of pectin stock and use that to make my strawberry jelly. I'm gonna get my water going. I'm gonna start cutting these up, and I'm cutting them just to expose the flesh. Let me grab my sugar. So I want all the berries coated. Now I want to cover this really, really tightly with some plastic wrap. The idea is to create an airtight seal. On top of the saucepan, I'm going to turn it down so that it's just at like a gentle simmer. So we're going to leave this here, and basically what happens is the heat from underneath and the pressure that builds beneath the plastic wrap really extracts the juice, and then we're going to strain it, and that's going to be the base of our jelly. While that's warming, I'm going to go outside and pick some unripe apples. Can I pull off these? What variety is this?
I think these are Gold Rush.
Is this a Gold Rush?
I think
oh,
so.
I don't want to pick the Gold Rush. Oops.
That's like...
Oops. I pruned it. Sorry. Oops. This is the 4th or 5th summer of these trees. So they're still like taking root. A lot of times we'll pick the fruit so that it goes into root production. And so I don't feel bad about picking off some of these. It's hard to pick them.
You gotta twist it. You gotta go
I'm
like
twisting.
5 rotations.
5 rotations. Okay, all right. Okay, and I'm twisting. Oh yeah, okay, twisting, yeah, works better. I'll take some of the really gnarly looking ones. So here I have a few handfuls of these little immature unripe apples. These are full of pectin. We're gonna make our little pectin stock. Let's take a quick look at our strawberries. They are already starting to swim in this like very dark concentrated syrup. I wanna wash my apples. So I'm going to leave the apples whole. Stems, seeds, cores, skins, all of it. And I'm just gonna cut them in half because they're small. And they're gonna go in my saucepan. It's like all core and seed. That's what I want. So I have all the apples cut up. Now I'm gonna cover this with just some plain water, and I'm gonna get it on the stove behind me while my strawberries are cooking, and I wanna boil it hard. Hard boil to really as quickly as possible, extract as much pectin as possible. The strawberries will be done soon, but the pectin stock can take a while. So now I'm gonna pivot again back to sponge. I'm basically making the kind of standard sponge that I make. It's like very all-purpose. I make it for a lot of different applications, but it's like a chiffon cake. So it's an oil-based sponge cake. One thing I really like about this recipe is you don't have to prepare the pan. I bake this and a lot of other sponge cakes in a totally ungreased pan. So I have an 8x8 pan, and I'm baking in a pan with high sides. I'm not doing it in a baking sheet because I need some height to the sponge. I need the sponge to be at least 2.5 centimeters tall. The divot I'm gonna make by digging out the sponge, I'm not gonna bake it with a divot in it. I think that would be too challenging.
What about some cinnamon?
There was no cinnamon in the cake. Was there some in the strawberry, maybe? No, not in the filling. I don't really want to put any cinnamon in the sponge. I just don't think, I think I want it to be a blank canvas. So I'm going to separate my eggs. I'm going to add half the sugar. And I'm going to add a pinch of salt and my cream of tartar. The cream of tartar is an acid, so it's a stabilizing agent for egg whites. And we want stable egg whites because we want a sponge that is raised from all the air that I'm working into the egg whites and is going to stay at the height that it bakes to. The reason I start with the egg whites is because I don't have to clean the beaters if I do the egg whites first and the yolks second. So I have my egg whites at pretty firm peaks. Now I'm going to set these aside and move to my yolks. I don't have to wash the beaters. I'm going to add the rest of my sugar to my yolks and start by beating these together. I'm going to turn off my strawberries, by the way. I think they're done. And they can just hang out and continue to release their liquid. I'm going to stream in my oil. The milk goes in. It's cold, but that's okay because I'm using oil and not butter. So I'm going to add some vanilla. And now I'm gonna add my flour. I'm gonna just quickly beat this in. And now, the next step for the sponge is to fold my egg whites into my yolk mixture. God, I feel like these could be a little stiffer, but I'm just gonna go with it. So I'm folding this together gently. This goes into my pan, totally ungreased. And now one thing I do, I bang the pan on the counter a few times, and that helps to pop some of the larger air bubbles. And this is gonna bake, it's probably gonna take like 20 minutes or so. I'm gonna grab...
This is running out of liquid.
Yeah, I'm gonna put in a little more water. I'm gonna cook this until the apples are basically falling apart. So we want it to be evenly golden brown across the surface and springy to the touch in the center. Here's how we want to cool this. So as soon as I take it out, it's going to start to deflate a little bit. So I cool it upside down like you would an angel food cake, same idea. And because I didn't grease the bottom or the sides, it's going, well, it's already tall, but it's not going to fall. So I'm going to cool it like that. The bottom of the cake is going to be the top of the Gansitos. Back to jelly. So I have some cheesecloth here. I want to strain my strawberry liquid. A lot of times the individual tiny strawberry seeds get into the liquid, so I want to take those out. The color is this like intense ruby jewel tone. It's so pretty. I'm just gonna gently press. So you can save these berries, they are sweetened. You can mix them into yogurt, blend them into a smoothie, but they're not very flavorful. Like all the flavor is in the liquid below. I mean, they're so tasty. I'm gonna turn off my pectin stock, and now I'm gonna strain that. The color is good. The color is telling me that I have this pectin-rich liquid. I can like do another round of boiling on these apples and make a little bit more because they're not quite falling apart. Like they're soft but not mushy. So I'm gonna let that drain. I'm gonna clean out the saucepan and then I'm gonna basically combine them and start to cook it down, and that's gonna be our jelly. Gansito jelly B, take 2. Ow, ow, ow.
Try again, second sticks.
How'd that happen? My finger got stuck. Second sticks. I have this beautiful liquid. I'm gonna add it to my saucepan. I also need to add a little bit of lemon juice. Pectin also needs acid to set. The lemon juice is there for the pectin, but also just to like brighten up the flavor and cut through some of the sweetness. And I'm going to add, thank goodness I don't have to make a lot of this. I'm gonna start with a 1/2 cup of this liquid because I haven't reduced it further. Wait, I had a 1/2 cup. I don't know why I just measured. Okay, we're gonna go with all of it and just see what happens. I'm gonna start cooking this down. Let's see where I am temperature-wise. So I'm at 218, 219. Why don't I do the wrinkle test? Because I'm in that range for setting, 217 to 222. Once you can see that it's kind of set, like the margins are holding, you run your finger through it. Okay, I'm not there yet. It didn't wrinkle. I need to keep going. I'm gonna put the plate back in the freezer, and I'm gonna cook it until 222. Okay, I'm at 2. Oh, I overshot it, guys. All right, I just killed the heat. I went a little above 222. I'm gonna grab that plate and do another quick test. If it doesn't set, I think that means that I have the wrong proportion of pectin and or sugar. And if it sets really firm, it's actually good. I want a very firm set. It wrinkled. It was subtle. It wasn't like a decisive wrinkle, but I don't know. I'm gonna go with it. Oh, it unmolded itself. It's a nicely baked sponge. So one thing I wanna do is I'm gonna flip this over. There's a layer of film that develops on top of a sponge cake when it's baking, and I need to remove this, and that's gonna expose the crumb. So I'm just actually using my fingertips to like rub off this film. The film is a little unpleasant. It's just like super eggy and a little sticky. Almost has like an underbaked quality even though it's fully baked. This is not delicious, so we're gonna get rid of that. So my Gansitos might end up being a tiny bit smaller than the original, just because of the dimensions of the cake that I have here. I wanna start to portion it. The crumb looks great. I feel like I could have baked it a little tiny bit longer. Like it's very moist. but I don't know if it's gonna end up being a bad thing. Plus when I cut it and I have all that exposed surface area, it might dry out a little bit. I'm definitely good because the thickness is 3 centimeters. I am going to level it a little bit. So see how I have like a raised border around it? That's because like the sides stick as the cake begins to fall. And really I'm just taking off those borders. Flavor is great, delicious, not too sweet, so eggy and good. Vanilla too. I'm a little short. This is 8.5 centimeters here. That's at the narrowest point. So now I'm going to basically do generous 3 centimeter bars, almost like 3.25 centimeters. This is a bird beak knife. It's just really, really sharp and precise. So I'm kind of just like freehand going in and leaving a little border. I'm at maybe like a 40-degree angle or so. And I'm just carving out this kind of trough. I just am using this as a reference for, well, mine's a lot more yellow than their cake. One thing to note about the Gansito is that the edges are kind of rounded. It's not like so cube shaped. So I might need to kind of do some rounding, even just kind of roughing it up. I think that's sort of like enough, just to take off that sharp kind of cut face. I'm happy with that, that looks good. I'm gonna repeat that now with the remaining 8 pieces of sponge. So I'm gonna do a test and I just wanna make sure that the jelly isn't being absorbed into the sponge. It is a little bit getting pulled into it. So in the original, there is like such a clear line between jelly and cake, and the cake isn't like dyed from the jelly, from it pulling it through. I think mine is going to do that. I think this could be a little bit thicker, a little bit more solid. I'm gonna just try to chill it over a little ice. It's hard to tell if it's working because I'm stirring it, so it's like staying, it's like not setting because I'm stirring it partly. It's definitely thickened. I'm gonna just leave it because I can see that the test I did, the sponge really did kind of like pull in and absorb some of the jelly, and I don't really want that. So I'm gonna set these aside and I'm gonna pivot to the marshmallow, and then hopefully by then this is set enough that I can just do the fill. For marshmallow, I have my egg whites here. These are gonna go into my bowl. Let me start softening my gelatin. I need cold water, and to that I'm going to add powdered gelatin, and I just sprinkle it over top. So I'm gonna let that sit, and that gelatin is going to soften. You have to soften gelatin before you can melt it. This is just light corn syrup. Now to this, I'm going to add my water. I'm gonna add my sugar. I wanna bring this up to 240 Fahrenheit. So this is coming up to a boil. I have it still over medium. Once it gets to around the 220 mark, I'm going to start to whip my egg whites. You need to have the egg whites whipped to at least soft peaks, because if you pour it into just like liquid egg whites, it's not gonna whip. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt to my egg whites, cream of tartar. Helps to stabilize the egg whites. I'm in the low 220s already, so I'm gonna start beating my egg whites. 228, 229. All right, I'm almost there. So here I am at 235, 36. I'm gonna put my induction on 240 so that I know it's not gonna go over. And I'm gonna keep beating these. Here's the gelatin that's been softening. You can see how it's sort of solidified, and it makes this sort of like clump. My egg whites are ready. Let's see where I am on this syrup. Oh, I'm there. So in goes the gelatin. That's going to melt. I'm gonna just stir that through. Okay, and now this gets streamed into my egg whites. I want to continue whipping this until it's like very, very stiff and glossy. It's gonna take several minutes, especially with this hand mixer, which isn't super powerful. I just wanna get my pastry bag prepped and ready to go. This is like a basket weave tip. It kind of is like the width of the little channel that I created in each of the little cakes. So I think this will work well. This mixture has gotten very thick. The mixer is having sort of like a hard time getting through it, so I know it's about ready. I'm gonna add my vanilla. It doesn't really have a lot of flavor. Vanilla is kind of like the only thing that gives it any kind of taste. So I just want to mix that in, and then I'm going to get it in my piping bag. So now I want to close up my piping bag. Try to eliminate creating any big air pockets. So now let me grab the jam, which has set up a little. It's definitely thickened. I'm hoping that there's less absorption into the sponge. It's still a little bit fluid. Part of what I think is going on is that it takes a pretty long time for pectin to achieve its full set, but we have to kind of move on. So I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna fill the layer of jelly I'm feeling very good about this now. Now I'm gonna take my piping bag, and I have a smooth side and a serrated side. I'm gonna pipe it smooth side up. I just wanna like get total coverage across the jelly. They look great. I'm super, super happy with this. One thing I do wanna do before I pop these in the fridge so that everything has a chance to set, so I wanna take my little spatula and kind of smooth out the edges alongside that line of marshmallow and almost like round it off. Make it kind of like ever so slightly domed. So really what I want to do is just take the spatula and drag the marshmallow down. And that's just so that when I coat them, there isn't like such a hard line. And this is also helping to seal the jelly inside the marshmallow. These are going to go into the fridge. Everything is going to set nicely. And then I'm going to turn to the coating. I got my confectioner's sugar. I'm going to add a little salt, corn syrup, some vanilla, warm water, hot tap water. I am gonna put in a pinch of cinnamon. I don't really want it to be like noticeably spicy, just a hint. So I gotta melt this chocolate. I'm gonna do this in the microwave.
So you don't have to temper it.
Nope. No tempered chocolate here. Let's look at the sprinkles while we're waiting. So really the sprinkles should have like 24 hours to dry. They really kind of need more time, but I don't think we really have a choice here. I think we gotta proceed.
Are you freezing?
No, because it's really like it's not a temperature thing, it's more like a dehydration thing. I'm gonna use my bench scraper to just kind of like, just separate the lines from the parchment. And now I'm gonna break them up. I'm going to sift these just to get rid of teeny tiny particles that are not going to look very good. So now this chocolate goes into the fondant mixture. Definitely this needs thinning. I'm gonna add a little warm water. I am going to zap this in the microwave for a little bit to warm it up so it becomes more fluid, and I might have to additionally thin it with water, hot water.
See if it does it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, 1.
So crazy. So warming this mixture has made it a lot more fluid. I think the color is nice. I like that the sprinkles are darker than the coating, just as they are in the original. I'm gonna try enrobing my first one. So I'm gonna grab the cakes from the fridge and my hot water. Maybe it's a little thick, so I might want to add a little bit of hot water, but a very small amount. I'm going to start by coating the bottom. It's a little thick, but let's see. Next, ladling the glaze over top. It is definitely a little on the thick side.
It's almost like it's gonna crack in half.
Oh man. Eee. I maybe need like 2 forks. Thank you. Let me just get it on my sheet tray. So the glaze is a little thick and it's drying pretty quickly. The sprinkles aren't even adhering. I gotta thin it out. Okay, let's try it with this texture. Definitely more fluid. Coating the bottom. This looks so good. Let's get the sprinkles on top before it dries too much. I think that works. They're a little irregular, but so are the original. So I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna dip the rest of them. That method of like getting the bottom coated and then enrobing, kind of little tap taps, sprinkling the sprinkles over while it's still wet, and then onto the sheet tray. It looks really good. I think just room temp and they'll set up. I will probably pop them in the fridge, which is gonna help the chocolate harden. I'll check in probably in 20 minutes, and then we're gonna do our tasting. I am so pleased with how they turned out. I think the dimensions, they're maybe not exact, they're a little shorter and a little like not quite as long, but I personally think it looks more appealing than the original. And the color is also much warmer because there's like actual chocolate in it. There's like a little gray. I want to see how the marshmallow and how the jelly has set. Looks so good. It really looks like the box, right? Doesn't it like really look like the box? I do think the jelly could be a little bit more set. The thickness of the coating is really similar. Mine smells like chocolate and strawberry. Smells better, frankly. I do think that mine's gonna be very sweet. And that's just because the components are very sweet. Fondant is sweet, jelly is sweet, marshmallow is sweet. So hopefully the chocolate and the cake kind of helps to balance stuff out, but there's kind of no way around it. It is what it is. Also keeping in mind that I don't really like the combination of fruit and chocolate. The texture is really nice. Cake is very soft, very tender. The jelly is too sweet. That's my problem. I mean, I would eat more of it. I feel really good about this one. I do think that the skills are building as we keep doing different treats. That's kind of gratifying, and it does make me feel like just more prepared to do more. So as far as like snack cakes go, this one isn't my favorite. I don't love the fruit chocolate combination, but I think to give it a little credit, from a texture standpoint, I do kind of get it. It is like a fun, satisfying thing to eat. And it's really fun getting to like learn about the very specific snack foods that are popular in different countries. So we will take suggestions in the comments below. We do look at them and see what is popular and what ideas you guys have. So we're happy to hear them. So leave your suggestion in the comments, and we're gonna bring you more episodes of Claire Recreates. They're getting more fun, which I'm really glad about. So thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.